Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm answering your questions. I just discovered the community tab on YouTube and I was like, awesome, a place for me to communicate with all my subscribers. So I posted on there, what are some questions that you, say hi to Max and Harley. So I asked you guys some things you wanted to know about me and we're gonna just dive right in and answer all your questions. So maybe glancing at my phone through this video while I look at all the questions. I kind of skimmed through these and read over them quickly, but I really haven't put any thought into my answers. I just wanted to be totally off the fly and not prepared and kind of just on a whim. I think these videos are fun and I don't really do enough of them. So here we go. So Tammy asks, can we get an update on your daughter's health? We were praying along with you. This meant a lot to me. I actually replied to this comment because it just meant so much to me that you guys are thinking about Kate. If you're not familiar, it was October 2nd, Kate had a seizure and she had never had a seizure before and she was sleeping. It was during her nap. I was at work, my mom was watching her. It was horrible to get that phone call and I didn't know what was going on. Learned she had a CAT scan. She had a CAT scan, which was normal, which basically looks for like any major things like a brain tumor or a brain bleed or anything that could be causing the seizure. So that was totally normal. So that was a huge relief, clearly. Then we saw a neurologist a day or two later and they did an EEG on her, which is where they measure the brain activity to look for like any strange electrical currents in the brain that might be the cause, and they didn't find anything. So I kind of thought we were out of the woods. I thought, well, that's weird. Maybe it was just a freak accident. But then about 2 or 3 weeks later, she had another one again while she was sleeping. So we went back to the neurologist. And ultimately, we just kind of decided that, our options are either to put her on medication, which would control her seizures, but we decided not to do that because what I learned about seizures is that they're actually pretty common in children. And most of the time, like an overwhelming amount of time, kids grow out of seizures. And I also learned that it's pretty common that some kids only have seizures when they're sleeping. Which she has had 2 and they've both been while she's sleeping. And I also learned that seizures really in themselves are not dangerous. I mean, it's dangerous if you're driving a car and you have a seizure, or it's dangerous if you're in the bathtub and you have a seizure, but it's just a scary thing to see, but it's actually not doing any harm to the person having it. So with medication, I don't know, I just decided not to do that. There were some side effects that were potential and we just decided not to do anything, but she's been great. She hasn't had a seizure in maybe a month or several weeks. And I don't know, she's doing great. So thank you so much for asking about her. All right. As a working mom myself, would love to know how you balance work, children, household responsibilities, and time for yourself. Okay, this is a very great question, and I don't think that I've really mastered that. I'm very fortunate that when I returned to work, I took a couple years off when I had my first daughter, and even my second was born. I was a stay-at-home mom for about 3 years. And I went back to work and I was really fortunate to go back into a great position that was a 3-day-a-week work schedule. So I only worked 3 days a week. And that's what I've been doing since I went back to work. So I'm very fortunate for that schedule because I think that helps me a lot balance things. But you'd be amazed, like even just 3 days a week, I still feel overwhelmed at times. And I think it is because I have YouTube and, I probably put in anywhere from 20 to 30 hours a week on YouTube. And then I work, at my job 30 hours a week, and then I'm a mom and, I like to exercise and take care of myself. So honestly, I think, how do I balance it all? I stay up late. I don't really get the sleep that I should. But, with me transitioning to doing YouTube full time next month, I'm hoping that I find a lot more balance because I just, I think at some point you have to just you just have to know when, I don't know. I think I've always been someone to balance a lot. Before I had kids, I worked full time and then I had a wedding makeup business on the weekends and I would work on the weekends. And I always thrived that way. But now that I have kids, I like to be busy and I like to juggle things, but I also don't want to do it at the expense of my children and the time that I spend with them or the way that I am with my children, And I noticed that I've had so much on my plate lately that it makes me have less patience and I'm trying to reply to comments or I'm trying to work on a video and my kids are watching a movie and it's just like, I just don't want to do that if I don't have to. So we looked at our situation and, I'm making some sacrifices, but we're going to make it work. I don't know. I need to make this step. So I don't really know if that answered your question, but I think how do you make time? One, I do plan really well. Every Sunday night, I look at my week, I fill out my planner with all the things that have to get done. And then with the extra time, I plan the things that are important to me, like exercising. On the days that I have off from my job, so I'm off 2 days a week, and I drop my kids off, I pretty much plan those 3 hours that I have like to the minute. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna work out for 30 minutes, then I'm gonna take a shower and get ready, and that'll take me 30 minutes. Then I'm gonna film a video, which will take me an hour. Then I'm gonna go run this errand and do that. Like, I just plan so that I don't waste any time. So I don't find myself sitting around thinking, what should I be doing? So I just think being a good planner is important. And I think making time for yourself, you know, I think I'm taking way too long on these answers, but this one is a good one. I think it's important for moms to make time for themselves. And I think we carry a lot of mom guilt, like, oh, I shouldn't be working out right now, I should be at home, or oh, I shouldn't, you know, just everything. There's just always, you feel guilty for your kids, you feel guilty for your husband, you feel guilty at your job. And I think there is just a point where you have to recognize those thoughts and just don't let them consume you, you know? I don't know if that was helpful. I think that this question is a great question, but I think it is a whole entire other video that I need to talk about, maybe in another video. I think this is a great question. Thank you. Okay, the next question. I'm a recent subscriber and I love your style. I am into fitness and nutrition, and I would like to know how you keep motivated to work out and stay within your diet during the holidays or stressful situations. I'm a Hurricane Maria survivor in Puerto Rico, going on 72 days without power, and it's been incredibly tough to stay on track. At first, lack of fresh food, oh my gosh. I actually answered this question because I think, first, I have been thinking about Puerto Rico since this all happened. I have friends that have family there, and I just can't imagine what everyone is going through over there. And my answer to this question was, you know, first, how are you, you know, and second, you know, don't worry about weight gain. I don't know, or me personally, I wouldn't be worried about weight gain. I mean, obviously you want to stay healthy and you don't want it to get out of control, but I think I'd be just trying to stay active right now, but you know, eating what's available to me. And I am a stressful eater too. When I get stressed, I eat, and I love sweets, and it's a struggle for me. I can't really say that I am, I can't really say I'm great all the time. That would be a big fat lie. But I do, you know, I indulge when I want to. And most of the times when I indulge, it just reminds me of why I don't want to eat like that all the time, because I feel crappy the next day, or that day I feel sluggish. My skin looks terrible. I just don't feel great. And I'm too busy to not feel great. You know, I have to feel my best all the time. So, you know, I don't know. My perspective is indulge when you can, when you want to, but just kind of recognize when it's getting out of hand. What are your favorite makeup products? If you were doing a full face of makeup, what is your favorite primer, foundation, eyeshadow palette? Okay, so favorite primer is probably the Mineral Veil by Hourglass. My favorite foundation, oh, that's hard. I have a lot of good ones, but I think the foundation that I always go back to and rave about is the Face Atelier Ultra Foundation. I've raved about that foundation. I think a lot of you found my channel because I was raving about that in a mature skin video, but that's probably my favorite foundation. Eyeshadow palette. Well, I think that, I guess I'd have to go to the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette. Even though I haven't worn it recently, I think when I'm traveling or I just want to grab a palette that I know is going to be easy and have everything I need, the original Chocolate Bar palette is a really great one. If you were stranded on any island and could only have one item of makeup, what would it be? Concealer, for sure, concealer. What is your current diet? Well, my current diet. So I usually start my day off. Lately, I've been having 1 full egg, 2 egg whites, and I make a little spinach with a little bit of a cheese omelet, and then I have a slice of sprouted bread toast with that. That's usually what I have for breakfast every single morning. Lately, I was also doing the gluten-free oatmeal, and I would put a spoonful of peanut butter, and I would do that. But lately, I've been doing the egg whites because I've been trying to drop a couple of pounds, and so I've been trying to minimize my carbs in the morning. And then I usually have like a bag of nuts, like an individual single serving of nuts, like at 10:30 or 11, like as a snack. And then for lunch, I try and have a salad, or there's a place here in Austin called Snap Kitchen, and I get their chili, or I don't know, I try and eat a healthy lunch. I always try and eat a lunch that has a lot of protein, but that's light in carbohydrates. Just something that's gonna hold me over for the next few hours until I get into the later part of the afternoon. I don't know, I feel like if I eat too heavy, my body's working too hard to kind of digest and break that down and metabolize all of that, that it just wears me down. So I try and eat a pretty light lunch, but or having protein in every time I eat, having a little bit of healthy fat. And I try and watch my carbs, that like, I don't eat white bread, I don't eat flour tortillas really. I mean, I try and eat corn or paleo tortillas. I think overall I eat pretty healthy. My downfall really is sweets and wine. I don't want to sound like I drink too much, but I love wine. And I think that like 3 or 4 nights a week, I love to have a glass of wine. And my problem is that when I cross that like 2nd or 3rd glass of wine, then I go straight into the pantry and I'm like, you know, eating my kids' goldfish and all of that. So I have to watch that. I think the drinking the wine is my downfall because it's not even the wine I think that makes me feel bad. It's the snacking that I do after that. So that's what I'm working on. Best makeup for sensitive, acne-prone skin. This one I might have to research because, I don't know, let me research that and address that later. I'm sorry, Judy, I don't know the answer to that right now. I don't have sensitive skin, I don't have acne-prone skin, so I don't have a lot of personal experience with that. But I'm not ignoring your question. That's a great question and I'm gonna research it. What is your favorite makeup case for traveling? Would you consider some beginner's makeup tutorials? What products have you used for at least 1 year that you can't live without? Okay. What is my best makeup case for traveling? I have a Lug clear toiletry bag. I'll leave a link for it down below. I love using that. Would you consider some beginner makeup tutorials? Absolutely, that's a great topic. What product have you used for at least 1 year that you can't live without? There are a lot of them, but I think one that I cannot live without, one that I don't really, let's see, what would that be? There's several of them, but I really love the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz. No, not the Brow Wiz, the Brow Definer. I think it's one of her newer pencils, but it's a little waxier and thicker than the Brow Wiz. It's not that thin, precise one, but the thicker one. I really like that a lot. What YouTube channels do you regularly watch? Okay, so I love Emily Noel. I think we all do. I love Erin Busby with Busby Style. She's a stylist and she does fantastic videos. She's in her 40s and I just love her style because it's chic and stylish. And she's also a mom to 2 young kids, so I just feel like her style is stylish, but it's also practical. So I like her channel a lot. Who else do I like? I love Tenny. I love Simply Sona. I love her quality of videos and she's just beautiful. Both her and Tenny are gorgeous and I just love to watch them and they're really easy to listen to. I watch Tarte here and there. I like her channel too. But yeah, there are some others that I watch, but those are the kind of channels that whenever they upload a video, I watch every single video of theirs. What is your favorite mask? Well, I am still trying to discover my favorite sheet mask. As far as like just a mask in general, I'm kind of in love with the Drunk Elephant. It's called the Baby Facial Mask. Anyway, it is amazing. I just tried it last week for the first time and I haven't been that blown away by a skincare product in a long time. I woke up the next morning and I was like, my skin looks amazing. And then I remembered that I had done that mask the night before. That thing is awesome. Would you ever leave your job to do YouTube? Actually, I am. My last day at my job is January 31st and I will be transitioning to a full-time YouTuber, which is crazy. It's very scary for me because I love my job. I'm really happy at my job. I work at a great place with really great people and I have a great situation. They're very accommodating to my family schedule and it's wonderful. But I'm just I can't really keep going at the pace that I'm going and working as much as I'm working, trying to maintain, what I'm doing here on YouTube and that. So yes, the answer to that question is yes, I am. What is your ethnicity? So I'm Hispanic. My family comes from Mexico. My parents were born here in Austin, Texas, but most of my family, but I have a lot of extended family that lives and has come from Mexico. And then also my mom has Italian in her. My mother's father was Italian. But my maiden name before getting married was Gonzalez. And another question that someone asked me is if I speak any other languages. I don't, and I really regret that I didn't learn Spanish when I was a kid, and my grandmother tried to teach me, but I lost interest and I never stuck with it, and that's something I really regret. I know I could learn it, and I don't know, maybe that's something that I'll work on in the next couple of years. Do you feel you have to compete with all the younger YouTubers out to grow your channel? I don't. I used to. When I first started YouTube, I was kind of lost, and I didn't really know what my niche was gonna be, and I was watching all the younger YouTubers and I was trying to emulate them. I would try and make my video intros look like theirs. I was doing all the sexy seductive poses in the beginning with my makeup and it just didn't work for me. I actually cringe when I look at old videos. I have thought about deleting them, but I thought no, that's where I started and whatever. But that was not who I was. That was not me. And I think that had part to do with my slow growth on YouTube because it wasn't really who I was and I wasn't being true to myself. When I got comfortable with talking to this camera like I'm talking to an actual person, when I got comfortable with that like I am now, that's when I saw my channel really start to pick up some momentum. So the answer to the question is I don't think I'm competing. I realize that my niche and my audience on YouTube is smaller than the younger YouTubers. There are a lot more younger viewers on YouTube, but hopefully that'll change. But it doesn't matter to me. I don't need to have 1 million subscribers. I really don't. I just want to have a good community of women that feel like this is a positive place and that come here for something, and that come here and leave here with something positive. I don't care about 1 million followers. I would love to make a living off YouTube consistently. Yes, I would. I would be lying if I told you not, but I don't need to be a famous YouTube star, no. How did you get your start at doing makeup for weddings? I love your channel. I'm 45 and I had a lot of beauty related content on YouTube. Isn't geared toward all ages. So how did I get my start doing makeup? Okay, so I started working at MAC when I was 19 years old, and I, working at the MAC counter, you got asked a lot if you do wedding makeup. And it was difficult to do that because, when you work in retail makeup, you work on the weekends, so you could never really commit to weddings. But I did start to see that there was a market for that, for a wedding makeup artist. But I wasn't in a position where I could, quit my job to just to pursue that. So when I did leave MAC and I got a 9-to-5 job, I worked in advertising sales for years, that opened up my weekends because I no longer worked in retail, so I had Saturdays and Sundays off. Hey, I had to switch my camera. The other camera I was using overheated, and so I had to switch. And the sun is doing this weird thing, so this lighting is not ideal. Sorry, you guys. I hope you can sit through this video. Okay, let me get back to the questions, and I'm going to go through them a little quicker. So how to get my start with weddings. So I worked at MAC, I left MAC, I started working at a Monday through Friday, 9-to-5 job, and it opened up my weekends. I didn't have children at the time. My husband was in grad school, so I had lots of time. So I launched my wedding makeup business, and I would do wedding makeup on the weekends while I worked during the week in advertising. So that was how I got started. When you want to give your facial skin a breather from makeup for a day or two, what are your go-to skin products for those days? Okay, so if I don't want to wear a lot of makeup, usually I'll go with the It Cosmetics CC cream, and I'll kind of apply that as my concealer and my foundation. So I won't wear a heavy foundation, or I won't wear concealer. And then I'll just put a little bit of bronzer, a gloss. Because I have lash extensions, I don't have to worry about mascara, but that's kind of like the bare bones, like when I don't want to wear makeup and I want my skin to have a little more room. Also, I won't apply the CC cream all over my face. I'll just apply it underneath my eyes because that's where I need the most coverage, and then I'll just blend it out into the skin. So I try and keep it very, very light. Do you ever leave the house without any makeup on? Did you before microblading or lash extensions? I find myself feeling trapped now that I've started more makeup and never want to be seen without makeup on my face. No, I don't really leave the house without makeup. I always have something on. Before I had microblading, I always had brows in, and I always had something under my eyes to conceal because I don't know, I just feel like they're so dark underneath my eyes. It's just from lack of sleep, really, and being tired all the time. But to answer your question, I never leave the house without anything on. But I don't always leave the house like this, that is for sure. Artsy or athletic? I mean, that's hard to answer because I like to work out, I like to run, but I like makeup artistry, so I'm artsy in that sense. I guess if I had to identify myself as one or the other, I would say athletic, probably. What is your favorite movie, band, type of music? My favorite movie is probably, oh gosh, that's a tough one. Let me come back to that one. My favorite band, I don't know. I love Red Hot Chili Peppers. I love Outkast. I don't know. Those are the two bands or groups of music that when they come back on, they just take me to high school, and they take me to a time in life where, it was carefree, no responsibilities, good memories then. Types of music. I like a lot of types of music. When I work out, I like to listen to dance music or like electric dance music. So like, I like Zed, I like Avicii, I like all those like dancey songs that are kind of more like electric dance music. I also like old school hip hop, 90s rap. I like Tupac. I like Dr. Dre. I like all of that stuff. I like to work out to that too. But I also like kind of easy listening type of music. I like kind of all things. I think the one type of music that I don't really, it's not that I don't like it, but I don't really listen to is country music. Kind of more of the more mainstream country music like Carrie Underwood and kind of those musicians that have brought it a little bit more to the, pop music I like. But yeah, I guess that's the one channel, or that's just the one kind of music that I don't really like find myself like looking for. What are your favorite places to shop? Definitely Nordstrom is my favorite place. I like the Loft a lot. I like J. Crew. I'm curious how you got started being a makeup artist. Is there a school or license like cosmetology? And whether you also have another gig. I love your videos and giggle when people ask about young YouTubers. I'm almost 61, so to me you are young. Aw. I will never look as beautiful as you. Aw. But I would have learned so much from you, and you have helped me in trying to put my best face forward. That means so much. I love hearing comments like that I've helped in some way. So how did I get started in makeup? I've always loved makeup. When I was a little girl, I remember being 12 years old and loving makeup. So when I was old enough to work at a MAC counter, I applied and I just started working part-time, and I really learned by working at a makeup counter, especially like MAC, because I feel like at MAC we did get, you know, MAC is a very accepting cosmetic company in terms like their whole mantra is all ages, all races, all sexes. So they're like, you know, I don't know, I don't feel like it identifies with one type of group of people. And you get all types of people there. You know, you get really young people, you get older people, you get all different skin types, skin tones. So I would just be put in situations where people would sit in my chair and they would ask me for makeup help, and there I was practicing. So that was the best school I could have ever gone to. But to answer your question, I never went to a makeup school. And I do have another gig. I'm in a sales job, but in a couple of months, YouTube will be my full-time job. I'm transitioning to being a full-time YouTuber. What are your favorite? Okay, I answered that. How do you balance being a mother, YouTuber, and wife? I feel like I kind of already answered that, but it is always a struggle. What were the best resources for learning all you could about social media? Also, I have very sensitive skin and it tends to redden, so when foundations are color matched, they tend to be on the orange side and it doesn't look good. What is the best way to color match foundation? Okay, so as far as social media, I don't know that I'm the best one to ask about social media because I have a long way to go still. If you look at I'm only on Instagram and on Facebook. I have a Snapchat account, but I never open that. I decided that I would be in the outlets that I felt comfortable with, like comfortable enough to use, and also that I could keep up with. I didn't want to be everywhere and not focusing. I just wanted to be in like a couple of channels that I could really focus on rather than being spread across all of them and not really putting an effort into any of them. But as far as outlets, gosh, I don't know for me, or resources. I lean on a lot of my friends that are a little more savvy with social media than I am, and I'll text them, how do I do this? Or, you know, but it's just constantly learning, you know, and Google is really the best teacher. And okay, so foundations are color matched. They tend to be on the orange side, and it tends to get real red. Okay, so that is tough. When I'm finding someone to match with a foundation and they have a lot of redness or rosacea, it is difficult because they may be really light here on the neck, but there's so much redness or it's so darker that you have to find something that can cover that, but that also blends in with the rest of them. So, you know, I think first the best thing to do is to find a color corrector. You know, with redness, you want to find a color corrector that has green in it, and using that to kind of calm that redness down so that you can find a foundation that is closer to your skin tone that will be able to cover that enough without being too dark, if that makes sense. How do you handle what can be construed as negative feedback, such as loved ones telling you that you don't need lash extensions, highlighted hair, makeup, microblading, pedicure to be beautiful, or that you are self-absorbed if you dedicate so much time and effort to these things? So, you know, I'm lucky that I don't get a lot of that, but I think that ultimately if I did, I think that I used to be really concerned with what people thought about me and how I was perceived, and did people think I was vain? Like when I started YouTube, I didn't even really tell anyone, and I was really kind of embarrassed about it at first. I don't know, I didn't want people that I knew to watch my videos because I just thought that they would talk about me or make fun of me. I was very concerned about that. Now that I'm a little older, and I think being a mother too just kind of puts things in perspective, and I don't know, like I'm just gonna do what's gonna make me happy and what's in my best interest, my family's best interest. If I'm not harming anyone and my actions aren't affecting anyone in a negative way, then who cares, you know? I kind of have let go of giving a flip about what people think, you know, especially when it's not constructive, when it's just hurtful and rude. There's just no place for that in my life, you know, and I'm pretty confident today to say that, you know, there's just not. I think when people like to cut other people down for things that are not constructive or that don't matter, I understand, you know, if if people disagree with something that you're doing and there's value behind their words or there's a reason for it, you know, that's fine. But when people are just spending their energy, cutting you down or making you feel bad about yourself for things like that, I feel sorry. I mean, I don't know. I just think that, it's just not worth it to let it affect you. I don't know, we have one life to live. So if you're a good person and you do the right thing and you're not hurting people or you're not harming people with your actions, do what you want to do, you know, and anyone that makes you feel bad for that may be someone that you want to limit your time with, you know, and it is hard when it's relatives, but I think sometimes you just smile and, you know, sometimes it's worth debating, sometimes it's not. Sometimes you just smile and, you know, when they walk away from you, you let it go. You know, let that energy and that negativity walk away with them because it's just not worth it. I hope that helped. I love your videos. I'm a very simple girl and wear very little makeup. I'm looking for good eyeshadows and foundation that I can wear every day and that doesn't feel like I'm wearing makeup. Which eyeshadow, palette, and foundation would you recommend for brown eyes and oily skin? Okay, until I read the oily skin, I was going to recommend the It Cosmetics CC cream, but for oily skin, I wouldn't recommend that because it's not very long wearing. For oily skin, so I really like the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte. It is kind of more, it's a buildable foundation, so you can get full coverage from it, but even though you like natural, I think that you can get a natural coverage with it also, and it's very thin and lightweight, so that would be one I would try because it's going to have great wearability for oily skin. As far as eyeshadows, very little makeup. So good eyeshadows and foundation. Okay. So some of my favorite brands of eyeshadows are Makeup Geek. I think they have a great product and it's at a very affordable price. I like the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palettes. I think those are great palettes. They can be worn really easily, so if you don't like to wear a lot of makeup, there's some great color combinations in there that are going to be easy for you to apply without a lot of thought. The Tarte palettes, those are great. There's several different varieties. I like the Tartelette in Bloom palette a lot. Today I'm wearing the Toasted palette and I like that one. It's a lot warmer shades. I mean, there's so many. Buxom has great eyeshadows. Anastasia Beverly Hills has great eyeshadows. You could even do an Anastasia Beverly Hills quad palette and just pick out a couple of really basic neutral shades and be done, and that would be great. Well, how do you balance motherhood work? Okay, I think I've answered that a couple of times. What advice would you give to someone who wants to start doing YouTube in regards to equipment, lighting? Also, I love how down to earth you are. Thank you. Do you think it'll be harder to maintain that as your channel gains more subs? I bet not, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Yeah, so no, I don't think so. I think that, you know, as far as like gaining more subscribers, I think the thing that might be harder for me to do is reply to every single comment. Right now, I spend every night at least an hour sitting down and replying to every comment. I do worry about, you know, channels that have 100,000 plus subscribers, you know, how do they have time to do that? That is very important to me and I don't want to lose that, but I also wonder at what point is it going to be hard to keep up with that. But as far as like maintaining, being down to earth, I don't think so. I think that, you know, I'm almost 35 years old. I'm a mother. I think if I were 10 years younger, and not to say this about 25-year-olds, I'm not trying to make a blanket statement about 25-year-olds, but I remember myself at 25, and I think that if I were doing YouTube then and I had a lot of growth and I were one of these big channels, maybe I would have had trouble with that because I was a little more self-absorbed then. Now, I'm not, and I'm not worried about that at all. It's important for me to always be authentic and honest, and I think that I know that my value on YouTube is the trust that I have with my audience, and I would never, I know how important that is, so I don't ever want to shake that. And everything I do, every decision I make about what videos I do, what sponsorships I do, what products I talk about, everything that I do comes from a place of, is this interesting to my subscribers? Is this honest for my subscribers? So I think as long as I keep that focus, then I'll be fine. What advice would I give? Just start, you know, don't think of all the reasons that hold you back. Like, don't wait until you have the perfect setup. I certainly didn't when I started. I had a really old, inexpensive camera. I didn't have any lights. Right now I'm sitting in front of a window. Actually, that's why my lighting looks so bad right now because there's a big shadow. But I didn't have lights. I didn't have a nice camera. I had a cheap little tripod that I sat inside of my daughter's crib that wasn't born because I was filming when I was pregnant with her. And I just started, you know, and as I grew and as I could see that this was something that I enjoyed and something that I was going to stick with, that's when I slowly started to invest in my channel and I got a nicer camera I got nice lights. I have a ring light, and then I have 2 soft box lights. I'll leave a link down below for what I have, but those were pretty inexpensive actually. The ring light was like $100 and something, and the lights weren't expensive. The expense was the camera, but I waited until I was consistent. I don't know how many videos I did, but I wanted to make sure this was something that I was gonna stick with and not something that was like my hobby at the moment. So that would be my advice, but start, don't wait for all that. Go ahead and start. What made you decide to have children? Is it something you've always wanted? Yes, it is something I always wanted. And my husband and I had been married for 5 years. We got married really young. I was 24 when I got married. So by the time 28, 29 came around, it was time and I was ready. I always thought I wanted more children though. I thought I wanted 4 kids and I'm pretty happy with 2. Isn't that what happens to a lot of people? What are your favorite places to shop? I answered that. Nordstrom, The Loft, J. Crew, Sephora, obviously, Ulta, Target. What are your future goals? YouTube, career, etc. Definitely to just grow my channel, to create better content, to grow my subscribers, to, you know, just kind of see where YouTube takes me. But I feel like I've always been someone that, you know, when I have things I want to do, I just do them. I don't really put a lot of thought into it. Like you know, I don't know, I've done a lot of things. Like I worked in advertising. I had a wedding makeup business for a long time. I was a Rodan & Fields consultant for a while. I started YouTube. I feel like when I get the idea that I want to do something, I kind of just do it. Like I'm not one of those people that like goes, I don't know if I should do it, or, you know, I just do it. Because my thought is, you know what, what's the worst thing that could happen? I do it and I don't love it and then I stop doing it. Okay, big deal. But if I don't do it, I may never know what could have happened from that. And it could have been something great. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of, I feel that it's pretty neat that I've landed where I'm at right now. Not that I'm, you know, any place major or big, but I've been on YouTube for 3 years and I'm finally, it's probably the thing I've stuck with the longest and been consistent with. And so, yeah, I think that it's pretty cool that I am able to finally pursue something that I'm passionate about. And I don't know, I feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I'm excited about that. When did your love of beauty start? Very early. I mean, I remember being 10, 11 years old and loving makeup. I think my 7th grade picture of me, I'm wearing a Nirvana Kurt Cobain t-shirt. I have like the darkest blue eyeshadow. I can't believe my mom let me wear it. But I have always loved makeup. So in high school, I would do friends' makeup. It really started early. My grandmother would always tell me, Mija, don't leave the house without your face on. She was always very beautiful with her makeup and her hair, and even people that know my grandma. Actually, I want to tell a really quick funny story. I know this video is forever long, but this was a couple years ago, and my husband and I were standing in line at brunch, and there was 2 older men, like my grandmother's age, standing in front of us. And we were waiting for the hostess to come seat us, and these men were very friendly, and they turn around and they start talking to my husband and I, and you know, they find out that we were both born here in Austin, and that's kind of rare. You know, Austin has grown a lot the last few years, so there's a lot of people that are moving here. So when people find out that you're a native Austinite, it's always a topic of conversation. So these men start talking to us, they find out that we're native Austinites. They were from Austin too. So we start talking, and one of them, you know, asks me what my family's name is. And I said my grandmother's last name, and he goes, oh, I knew, you know, a Baratti once. Her name was Frances Baratti, and I said, that's my grandmother. And he's like, oh my goodness, I remember when we were kids, she was so foxy, and you know, we used to chase her around and all this stuff. And it was so, I don't know why I'm getting emotional talking about this, but it was pretty cool to hear that about my grandmother when she was younger. I'm like literally tearing up right now. That's so weird. It was pretty cool to hear that about her. I mean, this man was thinking back to like, you know, 60 years ago, 60 or 70 years ago. I mean, that's pretty crazy. And I called my grandmother and I said, do you remember this man? She goes, oh yes, I remember him. But anyway, this man said, oh, your grandmother was such a fox. And it's funny because she is a very beautiful woman. I don't know where I got on this, but I think that my grandmother was a big influence for me when it comes to beauty and makeup, because I always thought she was so glamorous and so beautiful. I am literally tearing up right now. It's so weird. What made you start your channel? What are your challenges on being on YouTube? What are your personal YouTube goals? So what made me start my channel is I had been doing makeup for a long time, but I was about to have my 2nd child, and I knew that I couldn't do wedding makeup anymore. I just couldn't keep up with that. But I love makeup so much, and I love sharing tips and tricks, and I love sharing this passion of mine with other people. So I thought, well, YouTube might be nice. I had just started watching YouTube videos myself, it was all new to me. So I thought, well, I could do this. You know, this would satisfy that desire that I have to put this out there. And I could do it at night. I could do it around my schedule. I wouldn't have to do it on the weekends, which is when I was working weddings. So I just started doing it. That's kind of what made me start it, really. I didn't have any idea that people actually made a job out of YouTube. No idea. I was doing YouTube for about a year probably before I realized that people were making money off of YouTube. What are the challenges of being on YouTube? I don't really know that there's any challenges. Occasionally I get a pretty nasty comment. I'm pretty fortunate that I don't get a lot of those, but I don't know, a couple times a month I'll read something that is just so gross and hateful, and I'm like, are people actually out there like this? Like, who are these people? And for them, because it sucks to be that unhappy that you're gonna like tell someone on their YouTube channel that they're I don't even want to say the last thing I was called, but it's just horrible. I guess that's the only challenge, but really when I read those, honestly, my first reaction is I laugh because I think it's ridiculous, and it doesn't really bother me that much. It took me a while to get to this point, though. I used to read those things, and I could read 30 really lovely comments and encouraging comments, and then I would read one really mean thing, and I would think about it for hours. Not so much anymore. I block those people, I respond, and I block that person, and then I move on, I'm done. But I think that's the only challenge. I'm fortunate enough to where I think that, again, I think it comes with being a little bit older, and you know, I know who I am, and I'm happy about that, and I'm confident about that, and so I don't, you know, I don't let those negative haters really affect me. But I think that's probably the only challenge, really. There's really no challenges that I've come across. I think coming up with new content sometimes is challenging, but I don't know. I love it, and it's fun, and it doesn't feel like work, and I can't really think of challenges. So, okay, I think that's all the questions. I'm afraid this video is going to be 45 minutes long. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I apologize for the terrible lighting and how I had to kind of change cameras midway through this video, but I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this gives you a little bit more insight into who I am, and yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I do plan on using that community tab on my channel more often because I love, YouTube is my main social network. I have an Instagram account and Facebook, so please follow me there, but I don't really have a large following there, so I love that I can communicate with you guys on YouTube and do things like this. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a fantastic day. I will see you guys soon. Bye.